welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Is it just us?
It's, I think so.
We don't have any, special guests, or Jin isn't hiding in the background and Dan's not there, or that other, what's his name, who did the podcasting editing last time?
Nope, it's just us.
You and me again? But no Jin.
Back to basics.
Okay. I'm going to do this in the spirit that it is public domain.
God.
Happy birthday, Mr. Strode. Happy birthday, Mr. Strode. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do. Just in case it's not public domain, I don't want Time Warner on our ass.
And you do know that this will be showing up on the feed a week after my birthday.
It doesn't matter. We're recording it on your birthday. This podcast means so much to the people that we are recording on your birthday.
Well, I really don't do a hell of a lot on my birthday anyway.
Yeah, well, you got a thick pair of glasses. You must be doing something.
One thing I will say, unlike the birthday song that you sang and the one that they have at restaurants, which is basically, hey, if we sing the birthday song, we have to pay.
Happy birthday to Mr. Cory Strode.
I always did the happy birthday.
Yeah.
I like the song by They Might Be Giants, Older.
Oh.
Which has the lyrics, you're older than you've ever been, and now you're even older, and now you're even older, and now you're older still.
Of course, the two I like are Yesterday When I Was Young. But lately, it's getting down to what a drag it is getting old.
I did learn from you,
and that's proof that Jin's not here, because that's 4 times she could have yelled at me.
I will say that I learned something from you this year, Joe.
Not quite the same, though. When's she coming back?
I don't know. She's working tonight, I think.
Yeah, well.
And she's moving here in 3 weeks.
Okay, so we got at least 3 weeks before she gets here. We'll have to plan a special Jin-tastic episode. Now, I do have one question, though.
Okay.
And Strode, we need the truth out of you.
Oh, God.
Why did you edit the 8 minutes of pure, unadulterated Strode laughter down to a mere 2?
Because I left everything in that you guys said.
Oh, that was funny. I've never, and I mean ever, heard you laugh that long and hard.
Well, and I did put the explanation why after the credits, so.
Cool.
One thing, you keep diverting me. I keep trying to praise you. I keep trying to praise you. You taught me earlier this year to hide your birthday on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I did that.
Good for you.
Because today is a work day. I didn't want to, like last year, I think I got over 200 happy birthdays. And I'm going to be honest. 95% of them are from people who didn't give a rat's ass, but just saw over on the side, oh, it's Cory's birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Better say hello to Cory. It's his birthday.
Yeah, it's one of the birthday things. I need to do the birthday thing. Yeah, birthday thing.
Birthday.
Besides, if people really cared, they'd remember.
That's true.
They'd send me bourbon. They'd send me comic books. They'd send me pie.
True.
Last year, I even had a gorgeous brunette record her singing the happy birthday song.
I'm all for that.
And I listen to that every morning when I wake up. I was at the group. I did 2 overnight shifts at the group home last week, sleeping overnight shifts. And with the new phone, it's got all these new things, and it's Android Lollipop, which, God, Android thinks of the dumbest name for their operating system. Mm. So what operating system's your phone using?
Lollipop.
So I set it for the alarm to go off And at 5:30, there's this gorgeous brunette going, "Happy birthday to you." What the? God damn. I thought I set it for just an alarm. Nope, next day it does the same thing. And the person I was doing overnights with is, so, tell me about this girl singing to you, Cory. But nope, a couple people figured it out. But no, last year I went to Hot Comics Jordan for their arcade and the candy store, the Minnesota's largest candy store. But that was because my son said I needed to do something for my birthday. Well, he doesn't live here anymore. So you know what I did today, Joe? I grabbed 4 extra hours at work because they said, "Do you want to stay longer?" And I said, "Why, yes, I'll take that."
I'm already here, whatever.
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, do you want to – I get off work fairly early." It's like, "Yeah, I could stay later. I'm reading a book anyway." I actually put on the Facebooks. I have looked at my numbers because they grade your calls. My numbers for June, out of 100%, I got like 99.4.
Impressive.
Just think how good I'd do if I actually gave a damn.
Or that, job isn't that tough.
Well, there's that too. It's basically just, okay, hit your script points, try and answer the question, don't be a jerk. I don't think you'd be able to do that job, would you, Joe?
I did customer service.
Yeah, but you were a jerk.
No, I only got to be a jerk to. See, the problem is when you were working Sears, if you were a jerk, then I'm going to tell your manager, blah, blah, blah. And even if the manager, say for some ungodly reason, the manager backed you up and, he took the jerk fall, all they have to do is write Chicago, where Sears was located at the time, and you get what they call a pink slip. And what the pink slip said is one thing, basically a summary of the complaint, their response, take care of the customer. So even if the customer's saying, I bought this here IBM XT computer way back in 80, and it doesn't stop working, I need a replacement. We'll buy a new one. Oh, that's not good enough. Sears money satisfaction guaranteed or their money back. And I want my new computer or my money back. They didn't care, I know it's changed because eventually people push too far, and Sears got to the point where like, you know what? We're just basically an exchange thing. People buying crap at Walmart, coming here, returning it because we charge a little bit higher price on it, or a lot. For Kmart, it was easy. Kmart just turned around and bought Sears, but they couldn't buy Walmart. It was just too big to swallow. So now it's definitely, with the receipt, you might get 90 days, you might get longer. I don't even know if what was the tool? Craftsman? Craftsman used to have a deal. If you break it, come on in and get a free one. I don't even know if they do that anymore.
And that was forever.
Non-power tools. Yeah, because really, they put some decent quality behind that stuff. If it broke, it was either a flaw in it or you were, you really shouldn't use these nuts and bolts on an aircraft or something. But they didn't care.
How the hell did you break a hammer?
We had one guy, the guy must have been 3,000 years old, trying to return a set he bought from somewhere in the 50s. And he just wanted his money back. Well, as good as they are, they don't keep.
We'll give you your money back. Okay, here's $1.42.
Well, that's the thing. They don't keep that type of records. The catalog numbers change, the stock numbers change. I know it was Sears. And I looked at the guy and he said, well, how am I supposed to get my money back? I said, sell it as an antique. If they would have let me, I said, dude, I'll give you $5 for it now. And this was before eBay was around,
Yeah. Well, I am not a tool person. I am not somebody who's good with tools or anything. My dad used to yell at me because he'd be working on the car and I couldn't even hold the damn flashlight correctly, I guess. But you know how Jen has been filling my house with furniture.
No, you've been filling your house with furniture in anticipation of her arrival.
No, she buys it. I have to go pick it up and put it here till she gets here. Well, one of the things she found this table on Craigslist. And the person said it was an oak table. It's not an oak table. It was a maple table. And it was distressed. It was beat to shit. And it came with 4 chairs. One of the chairs is so damn bad, I'm going to be using it for kindling. So I get the table. It's got cigarette burns in it, got huge gouges in it, and you know how you can get a water ring in something, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
This had a water ring in it that went all the way down into the wood. But this is the table she wanted, and I'm a nice guy. So you know what I learned how to do this weekend? I learned how to refinish a table. My son has a sander that looks like a computer mouse. And I thought, oh, this will be easy. I just sand off the old finish, sand it down to all the imperfections and the burn marks and everything out, and then refinish it. So I get the toughest sandpaper, and I start going over this table. It took an hour and a half to sand off all the old varnish and everything and get down to where it was the bare wood and there was no damage. Then I go up, and when I walk into the hardware store, I bring in one of the table legs, and I say, I've just sanded the table. I show him a picture, and I want it to kind of match this. So we go through the different stains, and we try this, and we try that. And Jin is from Texas, right?
So we've been told.
And what is one of the things that Texas is known for food-wise? Pecans.
I never would have guessed that.
You know what color the table leg was?
Golden
pecan.
Serendipity, baby.
I know. So I'm out and I stain the table, and it's one of the first times I've been able to say that I stained something and people aren't mad at me. But because you're going to be eating food off it, and stain is kind of a toxic chemical, you really don't want stain in your food, even though your food causes stains. I actually have to buy lacquer. So Saturday, I every 2 hours go out, put another coat of lacquer on it, and then around 11 o'clock, I put the last coat of lacquer on it, wake up in the morning, one more coat, put one more coat on, and now I just have to wait for it to cure. I didn't know it was sick. I need it to cure, and then I have to learn how to polish it out. But Joe, I have refinished the table. Today I am a man.
Yes, Cory has polished his wood.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
You don't know how long I had to bite my tongue.
God, I miss the crickets.
Yeah. Maybe what you should do is squeeze the cat's tail real hard and record it, so instead of the crickets, we get a meow. Fair.
You just want me to be in the hospital so you can have the show to yourself. What happened to Cory? Well, his cat tried to kill him.
Oh, yeah, I'm really going to be recording an hour plus a week. Hi, guys, guess what I did? I'm here, pair of choppers. I come running, yeah.
I don't know. You and Butch had your own little show going last week that nobody could hear.
Well, if we wanted you to hear it, we would have talked louder.
So that's what I did over the weekend. And I binge-watched some TV because I actually had my first full weekend off, and I don't even want to think about how long. But I actually got completely caught up on both Tough Enough and the Tough Enough After Show. And I got to admit, the Tough Enough After Show is 100 times better than Tough Enough because it's The Miz trying to get people to argue with each other. And if you watch wrestling, you know that The Miz is good for one thing, making people hate him. Every week it's like, oh, this is good. So that's what I did. Joe, what did you do over the weekend?
I went up north for another cousin reunion.
God damn, how many cousins you got?
Lots. I'll talk about more of that.
Oh, that's right. You're Catholic, aren't you?
Well, somebody was.
Well, you were raised Catholic.
So right now I got my post-vacation letdown. Not only that I will have to return to the working world, but also that I'm not returning it to up in Ely there, Minnesota, which is probably the closest you can get to heaven without killing yourself. So I'm kind of down in the dumps, you know. What was nice about it is that I was pretty much unplugged and removed from everything. Didn't know what was going on in the news. All I cared about was what was in front of me, and trying not to become fodder for the them there mosquitoes. It was nice. I didn't even visit a comic book store.
Really?
I tried. Well, most of the comic stores I would have visited, I've been to already. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see them again. So.
And they might not have anything fun.
Yeah, there is that. Because I always go into these shops and then you feel like, oh, I feel like I got to buy something. Because if I don't, nobody will.
They're just staring at you.
Nobody will. Plus, what's easy is when I go in with Dana, then I'm more likely to get a good deal.
Yeah. Or Dana will get the good deal and you'll just be along for the ride.
Yeah, there is that.
So, well, cool. You did some fun stuff. You had a week off. A week off,
Well,
Joe.
the sad thing was the week was...
What's it like to have a week off?
Oh, glorious, Cory. Glorious. The thing was, I didn't even do anything. Well, other than, the normal eBay and stuff. Normally we go, when we get off these weeks, we'll go somewhere. Like last year we went to House on the Rock. Year before that we went up onto the North Shore. But this year, Dana got a job right away. So I took the week off, and I thought about, maybe I'll just go back to work and save the vacation time. And then I looked at the schedule, and I realized I am not going to get any vacation off the rest of the year because everything's full. Whereas last couple of years used to be in people in my position, the leads, they'd have anywhere from 1 to 3 off. This year, 1. Every single day, 1. So if you take in fact that most people take vacations in week increments, there's more leads than there are weeks to take off. So there are people that just either don't care or just won't get a vacation this year. And then, of course, you get to the weird phenomena, which I've only done once in my 13-year career, use or lose vacation. Well, I want to use this. Well, there's no time that you can take it off because the schedule's full. But I'm going to lose it. Well, you should have thought of that. Well, I did. But you had the schedule full and you decided to only let one person off a day, even though you might be in a place where, say, there's 5 leads. And the whole place would go to hell in a handbasket if, God forbid, you give one person off. So I said, screw it. I took the week off. The actual weekend was Friday through Sunday. So that was fun. And Duluth up the North Shore, Ely, it's only 4-hour drives, which I, turned into a, we took off at 9 o'clock. We got there about 5. And remember, we didn't stop at any comic store. I take the roundabout way. Freeways are for pussies.
See, I don't like roundabouts. They annoy me.
Oh, I love roundabouts.
Well, and especially out here in the middle of once you get outside of Minneapolis, no one knows how to drive when it comes to a roundabout. So you get basically you get people who, no, you're supposed to wait while the person who's in the roundabout continues. It's not you jump in so that we stop to let you in. Quit it. Stop.
Well, we've actually got a better way of doing it than England. England is the people who yield are the ones coming out of the roundabout. We have it where when you enter the roundabout, you yield. So that way, if you're already in it and you haven't quite figured out if you want to exit it, you can just keep going round and round without anybody cutting in front of you.
And if you want to listen to the song Roundabout by Yes while you're doing it, you just roll your windows down and blast that.
Oh, damn straight. Right? You make an evening of it.
There you go.
But the more important thing is, you little tiny cities like you guys got out there, they like those roundabouts because then they don't have to do the upkeep for stoplights, stop signs, things like that.
Yeah, I suppose. Still.
Cheap. Everybody's getting cheap.
Yep. Cheap bastards. Comics aren't cheap, though.
Nope.
I was looking at the sales chart because ICV2 just released it.
We were just talking in the beginning of the program, and Cory was going through it, and I'm like, you know what? We should save this for our listeners because this is pure gold. This is podcasting gold.
Well, thanks for raising the expectations real
Oh,
high.
hell yeah.
The top-selling book for July.
Go for it.
Top-selling book for July is actually Secret Wars #4.
I'm shocked.
Selling.
Shocked, I tell you.
Now, these are all estimated. Selling 221,000 copies.
And about
that's the highest sale.
10,000 of them were variants.
But that's one of the highest sales figures for one of these big crossovers in a while by the time you get to the 4th issue. I think Siege had trouble staying over 100,000. What was the last one DC did? What was the name of that? Convergence?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one had trouble staying over 100,000. This is huge. Civil War #1, one of the miniseries, 170,000. This is the one that kind of blows me away. Star Wars #7 came in at #4 with 160,000 copies. Now, Dark Horse, the whole time they had Star Wars, never got close to that, even during the boom. So Marvel's figured out how to get Star Wars to sell.
Yeah, actually make it a decent series.
Yeah. Let's see. The highest selling DC book was Batman with 117,000. Archie, you know how Archie did their revamp. That broke 100,000, 101,000 copies. Came in at #7. There are a few that kind of blew me away. First is Mad Max Fury Road from Vertigo, sold 80,000 copies. By the way, it's a god-awful piece of shit. Don't read it.
That's the type of reviews our listeners want to hear.
We Stand on Guard, which is one of the new Brian K. Vaughan books, drawn by Steve Gross. It came in at #14 with 79,000 copies. It's awesome. It's about a future where the U.S. has defeated Canada in a war, but there is a Canadian resistance movement fighting back. And the first issue really grabbed me. It was really good. Let's see. Invader Zim, which I haven't read yet, sold 70,000 copies.
Which I highly recommend if you like the cartoon. Definitely check it out.
Let's see what else. Star Trek Green Lantern #1 sold 64,000 copies. Did you read that one?
I did.
Meh.
Yeah, I'll see where they go. It's always hard because you got to set it up. They're very cognizant of the fact that they're two separate universes operating in different rules. So you got to figure out a way. How do these two get together? Sometimes it works. I thought Star Trek Planet of the Apes was good. I'll see where this one ends up. It's hard to be, the Enterprise guys when you're dealing with superhero guys. Just ask Kirk and the X-Men.
Yes. Or Picard and the X-Men.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those were terrible.
I'll even give you that. The books were more interesting just because I think Peter David wrote them for the book. There was one book that it was X-Men.
Yeah, there was an X-Men.
Next Gen crossover.
Yeah, an X-Men Star Trek book. And it wasn't terrible, but the problem is the X-Men are so different from Star Trek. It's like, okay, there's going to be, because Star Trek is guys standing around talking, which doesn't work for the X-Men. And the X-Men are all superpowers and fighting, which, okay, and Picard's got a gun.
Well, and the other thing, too, is when you have Bischoff hanging off the front of the Enterprise, shooting off more energy than their phasers and photons can, yeah, there's a little disconnect there.
Yeah. A lot of the Secret Wars tie-ins are doing really, really well. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that really jumps out at me. One thing that really jumps out at me is how poorly DC's doing. Let's see. They've got one book in the top 10. They have 1, 2, 3. They have 4 books in the top 20. They have 5 books in the top 25. And this is the month after their soft reboot.
Or as I call it, where I jump off.
Yeah, I don't think they pulled anybody in for this after Convergence thing. I don't, because if you look, man, sales have already settled down to where they were. And Marvel's just eating their lunch.
Which is good, because if they left it in the fridge, I'd probably eat it.
Well, yeah, there is that. Last issue of Hawkeye, number 22, sold 32,000. Yay, Hawkeye.
I'm disappointed it shipped. I mean, I'm happy it shipped and I read it, but I'm a bit disappointed it did ship.
Yeah, because you wanted it to be up. You asked for it again.
Yep,
That's another month.
I wanted it to go.
I'm going to go down to the 300th best-selling book, because that actually, to me, tells you a lot more about the strength of the market than the top books. The number 300 selling book is Bart Simpson Comics number 97, sold 5,500 copies.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that one?
Bart Simpson. It sold 5,500 copies. Now, that's the number 300 best-selling book. And I've talked about how, like in 99 and 2000, you'd look at the number 300 selling book and it'd maybe sell 900 copies. So I'm going to continue to go with my theory that while we're not going to get, books that sell amazing, but we are going to get lots and lots and lots and lots of books that sell okay. Although you have to get to the top 7. The top 7 selling comics all sold over 100,000 copies. And looking at the all new, all different Marvel, you and I are going to talk about it. To me, I think they're going to do what DC did with the New 52, except Marvel has planned it a lot better. Not just story-wise, but also retailer-wise.
Well, that's something that Marvel does that I appreciate. It's not everything you did before doesn't matter, because everything is coming does. No matter how you slice it up, no matter how different it is, it ties in to the old universe. And I'm not talking Flashpoint tie-in. I mean, everything somehow is going to tie in. And I think I've blabbed on and on about it. They're taking characters that before were off limits because of the way the original stories. You can't have Old Man Logan running around because he's not old in this present reality. He might be dead. We're still questioning that. You can't take Sabretooth from Age of Apocalypse because it's a totally different reality. Now you can. So if somebody wants to write a story about it, they can. DC kind of did that, but they're still wed to the New 52. If somebody comes out with the Kara Supergirl pre-crisis, it's going to have to be a different universe, not necessarily tied into the main universe. And with Marvel, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. I don't know what you call it. Marvel, that's 616.
Yeah, we don't know what it's going to be after Secret Wars.
Not really. We're seeing glimpses of it, and I'm kind of excited. I mean, the previews came out that had some of the stories in it. I mean, Bendis's Iron Man has been solicited. I think that's the first of them.
Yep, and they have announced that it has pre-orders of 225,000, which is the highest-selling Iron Man comic ever.
And again, it's got about 300 different variants to go with it.
Yeah.
The only variant I'm kind of really getting into are the toy variants, just where they have the cover looking like the old style toys. I just saw a picture online of the Uncanny X-Men 600 variant, which is going to be a Jean Grey variant, like she looks like in current. I took them from the past and they're stuck in the present variant. And and it's the old Toy Biz package, like I used to sell back at Hot Comics. So I thought that was kind of neat. Some of the Doctor Strange ones coming up are in the new style that they have out at Targets and Walmarts. And then, of course, they had the classic Secret Wars one, which I actually absolutely love. They did it with the Star Wars line. I wouldn't mind seeing DC steal a page out of Marvel's thing, do one of the superpower lines with the current characters. I mean, I think that's fun because I was a toy collector. It's kind of a meshing of two worlds that I actually enjoy. Plus, the toy variants are usually not that crazily expensive, especially when you start getting into the sketch variants or the super secret 1 in 2,000 variants. And 9 out of 10 times, I luck out and I can find them at the source for cover price. So I got that going for me.
And I'm going to repeat, if you are an artist and you are not buying up these blank cover variants, putting a sketch on them, and putting them on eBay or bringing them to a convention and setting up, you are pissing money away.
You're leaving money on the table.
Again, I went through eBay, and there are all these wonderful sketch covers by artists who are just, they're buying the blank covers and they're doing sketches, adding color. Jessica Hickman, who every time she does a Princess Leia bit at our convention, or she puts up a new Princess Leia print, or some of her other stuff, I'm always buying that stuff because I love her art and I love how she does it. She's doing more of these out of my price range. I can't afford everything, no matter how many hours I grab at the group home. But they're going. All you have to do, you buy this comic for $4. If you get a discount card, come on, you can pick these up for $3 if you shop around a little bit.
And most of them are, I don't even know what the discount is on Discount Comic Book Service.
45%.
Yeah, at least.
And people are popping them up on eBay for $50 and they're going in a heartbeat. I think Marvel's done a really smart thing in making so you can buy as many of the blank covers as you want. It's really helping artists. And I don't know, I didn't get to see a lot of it this year, but I've heard at other conventions, like a lot of Marvel artists are buying like a case of them. And it's okay, I'll charge you $30 for a head sketch, or I can do it on this comic and I'll charge you 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. Angel Medina is doing tons of these. And he's selling them for $100 to $200 each. This is just, it's one of the things Marvel's done that I don't know if they did it to help artists or if they just did it because they thought it was cool. But it's such a great idea. I'm not a big variant cover guy, but I think these variant covers are great.
I think they finally got the word, too, because I know the earlier ones were tough to draw on. Some of the artists were saying it's almost like you got to learn a new skill to do a decent sketch. They have since changed the covers. They've got more of a feel, I guess, closer to what the art paper was. So it makes it easier for our comic friends to actually draw on them.
The sales charts are actually, comic sales are actually better than last year. If you just go by pure numbers, I want to actually grab the data here because it's just, I find it very interesting how much better comics are doing. Yeah, we're up 14% over last year for total dollar amounts. And I looked through, I didn't really give it a good read, but I did look through Tilting at Windmills, which is by retailer Brian Hibbs. And he talked about how Marvel has really gone out of their way to help the retailer with Secret Wars stuff. And he ordered heavy and is actually kind of surprised at how well the stuff is selling. Because I know both you and I were kind of looking at it going, is this going to be where people are going to, okay, I get Amazing Spider-Man, am I going to pick up Renew Your Vows? Or is it going to be like with the Zero issues and the flashback issues where, oh, good, I could skip this month. It actually looks like more people are buying it during this crossover. And sales are going up on things, which means people are more excited about the crossover. And again, when I read the story, it's like, I find this really cool, but this isn't your standard superhero, punch somebody in the face story. This is a deeper story that's very well constructed and actually demands that you pay attention to things. So you almost have to be damn happy about Marvel doing this. The other sales chart I wanted to bring up is the Bookscan. Bookscan is a service used by bookstores that charts actual sales. And in July, number 1 was the hardcover of Batman the Killing Joke. Number 2 was Tokyo Ghoul, which is a manga. Then, let's see, DC actually has Batman the Killing Joke, Batman Dark Knight Returns, Suicide Squad number 1, which actually really surprised me, Batman Year 1, Batman Volume 1, The Court of Owls, which is from the New 52, Watchmen, and Batman Volume 2, and then at number 20 is Batgirl, the first volume of the Cameron Stewart run. But if you look, a lot of the DC is still making money off stuff that came out 25 years ago. You know, Dark Knight Returns came out in 86. Watchmen came out in 86. Killing Joke came out in 88 or 89? Marvel's really got to figure out a way to tap into that evergreen. Now, Marvel does have Civil War in the top 10. But if Marvel could figure out a way to tap into that, this book sells every month forever, man, they'd be unstoppable. I'm actually kind of surprised that Marvel's isn't one of those. So while we're talking about sales, Joe, do you want to put on our retail hat in our fantasy store?
All right, hang on a second. Yeah, a little tight. Okay, it's on.
I can't believe that you've gained weight in your head.
Oh, you know, every time I listen to you, you're such a fount of trivia and knowledge. I absorb it, and I feel my extra brain cells kicking in. Brain cells I could be using for, contemplating life's mysteries, and no, I just fill it with comic book trivia.
Well, that's what you should be using your brain for.
Nah,
Although I have all kinds of trivia in my head now.
Uh-oh.
I'm doing all sorts of... I've learned how to do that. Cooking, I've learned all sorts of things about cooking. I don't know. Maybe within 20 years, I'll just be an encyclopedia. And I'll be just as useful as an encyclopedia. I'll just be sitting on the shelf, and people will sell me at used bookstores for $20.
Go online. Join the cloud.
Well, what I thought we'd do is we're going to take our store, and I think the baseline that they use for Diamond is Batman. Whatever Batman sells is considered 100. That's where their index comes from. So Batman is always indexed at 100. So Secret Wars, their index number was 227. So for every 100 issues of Batman that were ordered, 227 issues of Secret War was ordered. So I thought, let's pretend our store sells 100 copies of Batman.
Woohoo!
And we're going to go through the order form for the all-new, all-different Marvel, talking about how many we would order for that. Okay? You buy the premise?
Well,
buy the premise,
the thing
buy
is,
the
if
bid.
I sold 100 Batman, I wouldn't even have to be in the store. I'd just stay up north and call you guys whenever I needed my comic fix.
Well, remember, this is our fantasy store that's really big and
I'm fantasizing. Trust me, baby. You're the manager. All right, Strode here, baby. What are we ordering this month?
All right. When I came up with my numbers, I do not know what the different tiers are for the variants. And I'm pretty sure, knowing you, that if we were like within 10 to 12 of a variant, we would bump it up.
You damn got that right, Skippy.
So going through, the first book is the all-new, all-different .1, number 1, which is kind of an introduction to the series. They've done this a number of times when they do kind of a, I don't want to call it a reset, but when they do a new line of books, they do a .1, which is, here's what's going on in these books. Kind of a, hey, you should buy this. Now, if it were cheaper, I would say just to buy one for every subscriber and give it to them free. But this is a $6 book. So I put down as an order $150.
I don't know if I'd go that high. I would go with mostly whoever ordered it, and then maybe 25, 30 for the shelf, enough to maybe get the variants. So what's tough about things now, you may have somebody come in and say, okay, I want to get one of them Kirby monster variants. Well, if that's the high point variant on a $6 book, are you going to pay the difference? Is it a good subscriber? You're just going to cost it out? Or you're going to try to figure out, okay, if I have, what was the number you said, 150?
Yeah.
Say 100 of our pre-orders are already paid for, not cycling in any discounts or anything, because that always lowers your margin. So if I have to go 100 to get one of those, I've already got one coming, so I can pay, I give them a good deal if it's a good subscriber. If it's a 1 in 200, well, now you're talking $50. That's, dang it, now I got to do math. Hang on, let me find my handy dandy calculator here. Let's see. So you're talking, I'm doing the math so you don't have to. So you're talking, I'd have to blow another $150 just to get one of those, have 50 extra copies on the shelf. You know, we might have to go to them and say, okay, here's the deal. Here's the difference. I'm going to have to pay $150. At the end of the month, if I haven't sold them, you just pay that. If not, if I sold it, I'll cut you a deal on it. So it depends on who it is, how it is.
One of the things I like about Discount Comic Book Service is you can order the variant and they give you a dollar amount
right away.
And if I ran a shop, I would steal that idea. Boom.
The only thing I have found is that a lot of times that price has no real bearing on what the book will eventually sell at, especially when you factor in eBay or you factor in, like I said, the toy variants. A lot of times they want $5 to $12 on Discount Comic Book Service. If I luck out, I can sometimes get it for cover price at the source because they just put them out and then they let people dig through the extra variants.
Yeah.
So again, at a smaller shop, you might not find that. At my shop, again, we didn't have variant Rama the way it is nowadays, so it'd be a little tough to figure. The whole thing I don't like.
Just had a few variants.
Yeah, and it was usually, okay, you can get a sketch cover variant for Wolverine by ordering 300. You know, and there was a couple times they said, it's a little pricey. Most I could do is hope to sell that variant on eBay for cost. And what's the point? I'm trying to make a profit here.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like about the all new, all different .1 is that it's a dated book. No matter what happens, as soon as those books hit, as soon as the graphic novel hits, this issue is obsolete. It's not something someone's going to look for. I could see people going looking for Avengers 0, Blade #1, Astonishing Ant-Man #1, because it's an ongoing series. But seriously, .1s are designed to be put in the quarter box after the hype is over. So I would not go real heavy for the shelf, and the variants, again, I might be tempted to ignore it. Now, if they show me the art, which sometimes they will on the retailer end, they'll say, here's the art for the Kirby monster variant. If it's really cool, I may jump on it. But the .1s, I mean, I don't buy them. I see people thumbing through them, putting them back. I'd go real light on this one, especially at the $6 price.
I will say this. If I had a job like when I had the horrible job that paid really well, I would order all the Kirby monster variants because I'm a Kirby guy and I love the Kirby monsters. But I'm not, so I won't.
He loves him some Kirby.
Damn straight. Avengers #0, I said 200. Double what we do on Batman, I think. Because I saw the numbers for Iron Man, I think Avengers will do just about as good. Avengers is kind of the cornerstone of the Marvel Universe. And this Avengers #0 is kind of the start point for all of the different Avengers series.
Is it a normal price comic or cheap?
It's a higher price comic because it's either 56 or 64 pages.
Okay. See, again, if it was like
It's a big
a normal zero and it wasn't high price, again, I'd be tempted to stuff it in everybody's box. But this is one of those, I imagine anybody who had any form of Avenger on their list I would pull. Again, if you want the Art Adams wraparound, I'm looking at you, Gruber, or the cosplay variant. Cosplay variants I'm kind of curious about, if that's like a photo variant. It almost sounds like it would have to be. But yeah, again, see who orders primary things. Usually I could see a number of people coming up saying, hey, I'd like this variant, I'd like this variant. I'd consider the book. Avengers Zero might be one of those I wouldn't mind leaving on the shelf for more than 30 days. So if I need to go a little higher to get an extra variant for a good customer, I might do it. The other thing, thinking too now, with like what you were talking about, I might just have myself a retailer comic subscription to Discount Comic Book Service. And rather than order the 50 extra copies of Avengers Zero just to buy one of these, maybe just buy one from them.
Yeah.
True, every time they have a variant, they say it's allocated, but I have yet to not get one. And then again, I also don't go for the super high price ones either. So
right.
Again, if it's Art Adams one, that one, usually when they list these, they list it's the last one is always the more tough one to get. So I don't think that would be too much of a problem at 200.
Angela, Queen of Hell #1. We have a sales record for Angela, and I would order the exact same amount of this as we sold for the last Angela #1.
Yeah, this is one of those
maybe have an
where...
extra 5, but it's okay. We ordered 70 last time. We sold 50. I'd be ordering however many we sold.
Yeah, it's one of those that, I wasn't thrilled with the original Angela miniseries, and now that they're redoing it, I'm not that interested anyways. So, and usually a #1's pretty sure thing.
Yeah.
I had some success at the little shop. If I ordered too many #1s, I would just put them on eBay, maybe $1 above cost, and just wholesale them. Some other retailer would pick them up. That actually happened a couple weeks ago with some of the books I'm putting on eBay. Had a bunch of the new Batgirl. When did that change?
Yeah.
So I just had 5 of them. I put them at cover
look.
price. Some guy bought all of them. I think it was number 36 because I actually still have one. Some guy just came and bought them all at cover price. So it was a retailer, so he's putting them up in his store or whatever. If I can cost them out and get my money back, sometimes that's the best thing you can do. I have an angle.
Blade #1. As Blade has never been a successful series.
Not even with a hip-hop variant?
Well, one of the things I noticed is, now it's going to be female Blade.
Ooh.
But still, I said 75. I think there'll be some curiosity, but I do think this is one where after people read the first issue, it's going to drop pretty fast. Because even when the Blade movies were big, the Blade comic has never sold well enough to last very long. And they really haven't done a whole lot in the last couple of years or in Secret Wars to go, Blade's a cool character now. But 75 for a Marvel #1 with all these variants and the curiosity factor, I think, is an okay number.
Especially if it's a girly. And, of course, they're going to have to eventually tell us what happened to the original Blade. Hey, they got one of them action figure variants I was talking about. I think I don't have my list of what I ordered, but there's a number, I think about 5 books that I have zero interest in, and Blade is one of them, that has an action figure variant that I'm thinking, maybe I'll just buy the variant depending on how expensive it is.
Astonishing Ant-Man #1. Again, we already have a sales figure of this. We would also know if the movie bumped the figures up. Myself, Astonishing Ant-Man #1 is one of my favorite books. It is so much like Superior Foes of Spider-Man that I just love the book. but I don't see where a relaunch is going to grab anybody new. Contest of Champions #1. Remember, we're using 100 as our baseline. I only win 125 because I think this is one where people will pick it up to see what's going on. But I can't see this remaining a series. Kind of like the whole, what was that Avengers book that was an Avengers team-up thing? This just seems like, okay, it's Future Imperfect Hulk versus Thor from this. And I think people are going to run out of interest pretty fast.
It has an action figure variant, though.
It's got a lot of
variants. Yeah, this one's, they got the connecting variant. And again, if Marvel really wants to get me excited as a retailer, they're going to have to show me some of these variants. I think if you want to get the retailer or the customers excited, show the variants. I mean, there's enough people go, Machiavelli variant, classic, I buy 100 of them. But most people, I don't think are going to care. Unless, like you're talking about, the Kirby variants might catch your attention because you're a big Kirby fan. They got a blank variant. And this could be one of those where it might be fun to have a few because unlike some of the other blank variants, like Astonishing Ant-Man, why would you draw any other character but Ant-Man on an Astonishing Ant-Man variant? Contest of Champions, you could do anything.
Yeah. Doctor Strange #1, I actually went up from this. I said 150. And the reason why is both Joe and I would be selling this book.
Oh, big time.
We would be pushing the hell out of this thing. It's Jason Aaron, who's made Thor into a must-read book. It's Chris Bachalo just coming off a great X-Men run. This is a book where, Doctor Strange does not have a good sales history in the last 20 or so years. I don't care. Anybody who came in, I go, hey, have you looked at Doctor Strange yet? We would have it by the register. We would be pushing it. And if it's as good as I think it is, it would be one of those books we would also be able to push to non-superhero fans.
All right, hang on half a second because I'm curious about something here. As I am wading into the fun that is Discount Comic Book Service and trying not to get too distracted.
Too late.
Yeah, there's that Contest of Champion. Angel Medina's doing a poster. That would be kind of fun. All right, Doctor Strange. I'm just taking a look here. We'll look at some of the pricing. Blank variants. Ooh, this is odd. They have their blank variant at $10. That's unfortunate because I would hope they would just half price them and just sell as many as they can. Their basic price is $2.99. So the Doctor Strange Christopher variant is $10. Cosplay variant is $8. They're doing a hip-hop thing, which I don't guess because I'm not hip-hop. Now, I just passed by. The Kirby Monster variant is $6, so those will be more common. So we'll probably see more of those on the shelf. But now we're going crazy because there's a Quesada sketch variant, and TCBS that wants $300 for it. And the Quesada variant itself is $100. And then the young variant is back down to 10. So those might be the ones, if we really go out, that might be the one where we have to go 200 or more. And then the question is, what do we want to do with it? Do we want to eBay it? There's a big movement online where people grab these variants and they slab them, and as fast as they can, if they can get a 9.8 or above, get some megabucks off eBay. Would we want to go, I don't know, 300 on it and say, okay, guys, for every person who buys a Doctor Strange comic and variant, we'll throw your name in a bucket and you get a chance to win this one. Now, keep in mind, Discount Comic Book Service is asking $300 for it. My guess is they're paying half a cover price. And again, I may be wrong because in my day it was you had to order 300 regular covers to get the chance to buy one of these. And maybe that's changed. I don't know because I don't have access to a retailer one. And if you are a retailer out there and you know, drop us a quick line, let us know. Maybe they've changed that. Maybe it's just, hey, you want a Quesada variant? This is how much it is. I don't know. Maybe I'll give Tim at Granite City a quick call, and he can give me an idea of how that works.
The next book is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Again, we already know how it sells.
It sells.
I can't see it picking up any new sales because it's the same creators, and while there's been a little tinkering with character-wise.
But the raccoon's in charge.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Art Atom sketch variant is a $100 variant.
Ooh.
And that seems to be the high-end one that everybody's going to be going crazy over.
Hey, crazy.
You knew I'd work it in there somewhere.
The next are a bunch of what-ifs. They're basically it's a continued story, but they're pitching it as 5 different stories.
I don't know what to think about these. I'm not really big on these because they tend to show up in the quarter box later.
Yeah.
But it's all dealing with, what
the
if
Infinity.
They have the Infinity Gauntlet or things like that.
Well, it's kind of a what-if from the Infinity crossover, which I don't remember being all that huge.
No,
so
it was a fun series, but yeah, I mean, I kept the numbers for Infinity, and I tended to keep titles like this. There were 2 things I'd want. If a series got canceled, and I would move it over into my history book, and then I would also keep a list of who subscribed it. So what I would probably have done on a newsletter or via the email or whatever is say, hey, did you read Infinity? This is kind of a continuation of it. And just like Cory said, it's a one story, but if you want it, let me know. We'll put it on your pull list so you can at least take a look at it.
I said 75 because their first issues, it's going to have Thanos in it, so if they tank, we can bundle them and keep them on the shelf for Thanos fans when Avengers Infinity War comes out.
That's another trick we do. Like you said, if there's a mini series or a limited run, bundle them up, get that crap in a bag, get it out of here.
And what I would do for a lot of them is, okay, how much did they cost? All right, they're just sitting on the shelf anyway. They're not selling. They're not doing anything. They're sitting on the shelf. We're having to pay tax on them. So figure out what the retail cost was at 25% for profit. Sell them like that. You're undercutting most people because most people go, well, I'll take the cover price and drop it by 10% because it's a bundle. No. They're not selling. You put them together, it's a higher price point. If people think they're getting a deal, they're more likely to pick it up. Hey, I could get 5 comics for $8? I'm buying that. It's kind of like when you go to Target and you go to the discount aisles. They're still making profit off that stuff, but you think you're getting a good deal. And they're happy because they don't want to be stuck with the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a book that I am unbelievably happy and looking forward to, especially now that they've announced that Brent Schoonover is drawing it.
Yeah.
I only ordered 75. If it makes it 12 issues, I'll be amazed.
I'm kind of the same way. I looked at it, and I'm like, what the hell? I'll give it a run.
It's the Kirby monsters. It's Dum Dum Duggan.
I know.
It's Brent Schoonover. It's going to be fun. Nobody will buy it but us.
Yes. So be prepared for the next 12 months to hear us. Oh, Howling Commandos number 5 has come out. It's the best thing ever. Remember Next Wave? We wouldn't lie to you.
Speaking of Next Wave, the next book is Karnak number 1, the new Warren Ellis book. Warren Ellis is doing a solo series for Karnak, one of the Inhumans, one of the original Inhumans.
Which is probably the only way you could have gotten me to buy a Karnak book. Bendis, Mohr, maybe Mark Waid, maybe. But Ellis, I'm down. Now the question is he doing like he did on Moon Knight? I'm going to do 6 issues, get the story out of my system, and go away.
Well, a lot of what he's been hired by Marvel to do is stuff like Moon Knight. Okay, come in, set a tone for the book. kind of revamp the character and move on. I imagine that's what he's doing here, and I actually would order this exactly the same as I ordered Moon Knight.
And watch out for the drop. Because I know, like me, I would pick it up unless the next group coming on is so compelling I'd want to stay on it. I could see I'm going to go 6 with this and then probably drop it, read it, put it out on eBay. You notice we're not talking much about variants again because I think we've already beaten that to death. You know, there's a lot of variants here. There's nothing here that excites me terribly.
New Avengers #1. This is the one by Mark Waid. This is another one I would order heavy on. I would order 200 copies of this. And then they also have New Avengers #2. I'd drop it by about 30% for #2.
Yeah.
Because the normal drop-off is between 30 and 40%. So I'd want to go on the low end for drop-off in case people get hooked by Mark Waid and he's got a really good teaser at the end of one.
And, of course, there's a Frank Cho variant. Very hot, very hot.
Oh, those once again, a Frank Cho variant, that's a license to print money.
It also comes with a blank variant. Would be, again, one of those I would probably want to go deep in. A lot of the variants, if I could, I'd like to keep them cover price, especially when con season comes around. If you know a certain artist is coming and that artist did that book, I mean, you talk about money. You have the thing ready to sell, cover price.
Next book is Captain America Sam Wilson. Again, we have a sales history for Captain America. I would look at how many of the last relaunch of Captain America we sold and order that many. I don't think this is one you want to be stuck with a lot of back issues of, because when Steve Rogers comes back as Captain America, these aren't back issues people are going to be digging for. And again, they also solicit #2. This one I would actually drop 40% from #1. But again, we've got numbers. We know how many we sold. It's one of the good and bad things about this relaunch. They did these #1 so recently. We've got the numbers. We just do it again.
Do it again. Do it again.
Same for Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Nothing about this book is changing. It's the exact same creative team. It's the exact same numbers. Next up is Uncanny Avengers #1. The last Uncanny Avengers, to me, seemed like it started high and then kind of went. But Marvel is really pushing this hard because they really want to push the Inhumans hard. So I actually put 175, but the more I think of it, I'd probably go 150.
And again, depending on the variant situation, this one also comes with a blank cover. Good ones to hang on to.
A J. Scott Campbell variant.
Yes. I'm curious about these cosplay variants. I hope I can see a few before I buy or place my order. I wonder if that's a common retailer complaint now, is that you're making all these variants and we don't get a chance to see them.
I'm betting the retailer gets to see them in the retailer pack.
I wouldn't be too sure. Sometimes these guys don't have them ready to rock, but you think they would.
They've got them online.
Yeah.
Because I have seen these online.
So they solicit them and then they'll post them online saying, here's what they look like.
Yep. Uncanny Inhumans, I put 100, Batman numbers. Again, they're really pushing the Inhumans. I also see that there's an Art Adams Kirby Monster variant, so that will be the one variant that people will want more than any other. Lots and lots of variants on this. You could tell that they really want to push the Inhumans, but I don't see people as jumping on the Inhumans bandwagon.
No.
I don't see any chatter about the Inhumans in any of the comic book discussion places I go to. I don't know what Marvel's got to do to get people interested, but there's a part of me that thinks that when they were building up to the Inhumans, Matt Fraction was going to do it, and they had solicited and everything, and then he dropped out last minute, and the Inhumans book was delayed, and I think that really hurt the book. I think it was whatever interest there was by the time it came out was kind of, who cares?
Who cares?
And then the last one, actually the last three, Spider-Man #1, I said 300. Basically, this is where we would go deep, especially after looking at how Amazing Spider-Man #1 that came out just a few months ago sold 500,000 copies. There's a part of me that wonders if people would feel burned that they have to, oh, look, it's another Amazing Spider-Man #1. But other than John Byrne, everyone who's I've talked to about this Spider-Man relaunch is excited. I haven't talked to John Byrne, but he's your grumpy old man saying, it's stupid. Spider-Man should be in high school. And he should still take pictures for the newspaper. John, when you did Spider-Man, he didn't get a microscope. He got a computer because you felt it was important that he be up to date. Yeah. That's because I'm brilliant and you people are idiots. There's a character we could have on from now on, Joe. Grumpy John Byrne.
Only if he gets he can have a freaking spot. What are you freaking on this week, John? See, I don't want to read his blog, so maybe you can do that. Hire an assistant.
Or I could just, whatever something's new, say it's stupid.
Nah, we got people who do that already.
And then I dropped it by 50% for Spider-Man #2 because I think a lot of people, it's an Amazing Spider-Man #1. Better buy 2, better buy 3, better buy 5.
It's the same thing. Another trick. You got too many Spider-Man 1s, take a bunch out at the con, $5 a piece, cover price, whatever. You have different retail areas you can blow them out at.
The other cool thing about Spider-Man #1 is they've got kind of stories for each of the Spider-Man related books. There's a Spider-Gwen story, there's a Spider-Woman story, there's, on and on and on. And then the last one I have is Spider-Gwen #1, and I said 150 because this is a book that keeps going above expectations. I think there's a huge fan base.
Which is
for
really
this.
weird because I am just not digging it for some reason. Now, is she back in her own little reality, or are they going to have her bopping around the Marvel Universe?
We don't know. Right now, there's only Battle World.
Yeah.
We don't know what's coming out of Secret Wars. But I'll tell you one thing. Joe, how I talk about all the sketch covers? There are tons of artists doing sketch covers of Spider-Gwen. And when Bleeding Cool puts up cosplay pictures from conventions, I always see at least 2 Spider-Gwens. Which is weird because this is a character who's only been around for about a year and a half? Women are in love with this character. It's kind of like Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel sells as many, if not more, copies digitally than in shops. I would love to hear how Spider-Gwen does outside comic markets. She seems to be a character that's really tapped into a market that doesn't normally buy comics. And that's all that we have for the all new, all different Marvel for this month.
Hopefully it's all new and all different.
You know who's not all new and all different?
Who's that?
These guys, our sponsors. You may not be able to join the mighty Marvel Marching Society anymore, or even the Friends of Old Marvel, but you can visit our sponsors. Our oldest sponsor is DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com is the best, bar none, web host in the whole known universe. If you need a website, go to DreamHost.com. They will take care of you as they've been taking care of me for over 15 years. If you use the code CRAYZ, that's KRAYZ, you get $20 off your first year of hosting. If you are listening to this podcast, you are very good looking. That's right. As a good looking person, you can't trust your skin to any old razor. That's why you need to shave with the amazing razors you could get delivered from the Dollar Shave Club. Every month they send a box with your shaving supplies. At the beginning of the week, or whenever you want, you pop in a fresh blade and get that fresh blade shave. It feels fantastic, and it's just one of the many, many ways that you can maintain the good looks that everyone has come to expect from you. And if you join us at the Dollar Shave Club, their plans start at just $3 a month. They have a money-back guarantee, and there is no excuse for you to ever use any other razor. So just go to dollarshaveclub.com/crazy, KRAYZ, to get started. One of the things you need to do this year, you need to get healthy. We all need to be healthy so we can all hang out a lot longer. And one of the ways to get healthy is not to go down to the vending machine and buy those chips or those candy bars or any of the other vending machine snacks. You want healthy snacks picked out by actual chefs who know what they're doing, and you can do that at grays.com. And if you use the code Cory S3R5P, your first and fifth box are free, so you can try it out. See if that's the kind of stuff you like. That's Cory S3R5P. Our final sponsor is Worldwide News. Worldwide News is the story of the lowest rated cable news network and the people who work there. It is updated twice a week by writer Cory Strode. Hey, that's me! And artist Dangerous Dan Mohr. Worldwide News at worldwidenews.solitairerose.com, part of the Solitaire Rose family of websites. If you would like to contact us, there are a whole bunch of ways. You can email us at cory.strode@gmail.com. You can give us a call. We have a voice line that is open at all times at 952-856-0519, or you could go to Facebook and join the Crazy Comics and Stuff fan page. If you would like to advertise on Crazy Comics and Stories or on Solitaire Rose Radio, you can. Just send me an email at cory.strode@gmail.com, subject advertising. Thanks.
I've been meaning one of these days I'm going to get over there and set up my new email account.
And speaking of email and eBay and all that, what you been selling on the eBays, Joe?
I thought, since we were talking earlier about sketch covers and all that stuff, I'd take a look, because we actually had some decent stuff going on the remarks and things like that. I sold a Punisher #1, was signed by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, and remarked by Jimmy Palmiotti. We had where'd it go? A Lady Death, where this one was done by Avatar, and they have a blank sketch edition where they have the artists do it. This one was an actual pretty nice artist drawing. It was done by Sean Shaw, and it came with a collector certificate of authenticity. Not that it means much, but that one was pretty cool. And I took a best offer on it, and you'll hear that a lot, because so far on eBay, a lot of the things that I've sold like that, I've been able to sell by people making an offer. So if you actually stumble upon something you're interested in, you've heard me say it over and over. If I know you listen to the show, I'll give you something special. But don't be afraid to come in there and make an offer. I mean, a lot of times you'll be surprised just how low I will go to sell a comic.
How low?
The last two I'll mention.
How low?
We sold the Darkness #1 Prelude that was signed and remarked by Jay Lee, which was pretty nice. One of the nicer Jay Lees. Did a nice shot of Darkness if you're into that character. And then one that I picked up and flipped. It was an Avengers Assemble, signed and remarked by Ken Hazer, if I got that pronounced right. I bought this at the con the con formerly known as Spring Con, and it was there for the Lupus Foundation. I put a outrageous offer on it, and I sold it, or I won it outrageously, and I sold it for the same price. Actually, I didn't. I sold it for best offer. I may have lost a little money on it, but hopefully the person that got it actually enjoys it. This one, too, came with a certificate of authenticity, and if you go to Dynamic Forces in your previews catalog or even their website, you'll see they're big on the remark rates. They don't have a ton of name artists doing it, but you want a Thor Avengers Assembles? This was a really nice one. You want a Hulk? They had it there too. How about a Captain America? Yep. Anybody was in the Assembles, Avengers, they done did. So check it out. Again, the eBay spot is, my account is Crazy. The store is Crazy Stuff. Oops, hang on, edit this. I'm going to have to check that out. Come on, eBay. Somebody must be online. The eBay store is Crazy Comics and Stuff. And again, just let me know you're listening to this here podcast, and I'll give you a little something extra.
Well, cool. You know what that means it's time for?
What's that?
Freaking and geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on? What's bugging you? What's bothering you? What has crawled up your behind and died?
I mentioned the post-vacation letdown. You know, it's hard. You know, you go up north. We're out on a lake. We're out on one of those crystal clear Minnesota lakes where you can see 90 feet to the bottom. It's pretty peaceful out there. It's a civilized lake. It's not wilderness. I mean, I was sitting there waiting for a pontoon ride to come back. I thought they were going to be gone for an hour. They were gone for 5. But I was just sitting up. My cousin owns a plot of land, and we just go. He lets us come up, invites all the cousins, whoever care. We just hung out in a tent. And, I'm just sitting there enjoying the wilderness, slowly falling asleep, and all of a sudden, the neighbor's sawing wood. 10 minutes later, he's down on another lot sawing wood. Cars are going by. What really astounded me is I could hear boats going by. I basically was in a bay looking out probably about a quarter mile, and I could hear boats long before they actually came into view. It was just every so often you'd hear a loon do its loon cry, which is, I guess, something unique in Minnesota because loons don't make that cry when they're migrating to other parts of the area. Part of the post-vacation letdown includes numerous insect bites and, of course, being sunburnt in various places you forgot to put sunscreen. While I was up there, of course, I had marginal cell service, and apparently I was roaming, which the phone never really told me to do. It just did it, and then all of a sudden, out of blue, it just cut off. I'm not talking, hey, it's time to shut off, you're out. It just cut off. No phones, no calls, no texts, no nothing, which I thought was really stupid because if there's an emergency, I'd have been royally effed. But we didn't stop in Duluth because we just kind of I wanted to. I mean, my girls and my nephew wanted to go to the Electric Fetus, one of the few remaining record head stores, buy some cool bling shops. I thought about stopping at the Duluth Art Institute because they have a panel, or they have a display going on through August 27th called Minnesota Comics, Paneled Pages from the Northland. And Cory and I have talked about it a lot because there's a lot of comic creators that have come from Minnesota, from the early arts instruction schools. Remember on matchbook covers, if you kids remember matchbooks, can you draw this figure? And if you did in any semblance of talent, they would send you a note saying, okay, send us $10 to join our class. Charles Schultz did that, and that's how he got his thing going. But we got tons of current graphic novelists and web comic artists up in the Duluth Art Institute. They're featuring art from the various Minnesotans who are working. Peter Gross, Chris Monroe, Brent Schoonover, who we mentioned earlier, Barbara Schultz, Andrew Nilsson, John Holben, Clint Hilinski, who I bought a bunch of sign books when you must be up from the Duluth area because I picked up a lot of sign books when I was up there. On the 21st, they're going to have David Beard and Tim Broman talk about Duluth comic arts themselves. So if you're at all in the Duluth area or interested, just type in Duluth Art Institute. You can check it out. That's kind of a freaking, I guess, because I really didn't get a chance to go there. Non-vacation stuff bumming me out. Have you seen the price of action figures? Probably not, because I know Cory doesn't. But I went. Looked. Oh, they're crazy. The large ones that we used to have, like anywhere from 6 to 10 inches, they are like $20 and above. I have hit a mental block because when I used to buy figures, I used to just buy them and open them. But if I bought a figure that was over $20, I wouldn't buy it and open it because it was $20. Well, now they sell at $20. And I'm not talking eBay. I'm talking like I was at a Target. What freaked me out is every so often I will pick up a figure when it's cool. They had a Beta Ray Bill figure, which I thought was pretty sweet. And I went to check the price, $14. These are figures I sold at my shop for $7. The last time I bought one, it was $10. Now they're $13. I check the scanner, it's right. One thing I do, I go on eBay. I see what is eBay pricing at. Maybe they're pricing this figure incredibly high. No, I can buy it on eBay for less. You hear that, Target? You are more expensive than eBay. Walmart, you are more expensive than eBay. And I'm talking with shipping. So I think I just saw the death of my action figure collection. I don't buy a lot of them. I think the last ones I bought were a Death's Head, which I raved about. I picked up a Star-Lord, which I thought was cool. And these are the little, like, 3 to 5 inch ones, you know, the small ones, like we remember. So that was kind of a bum. So I think they're gone. And the last thing I was freaking on, I was with my daughters just before we were getting ready to go up to Ely, and we had to bring our beloved rabbit Bun Bun over to my ma's because, oddly enough, the thing won't feed itself. Or if we give it all its food, it'll eat all one big massive orgy, much like happens daily at Old Country Buffet. Not that we're against Old Country Buffet. If you are from Old Country Buffet and you want to send us a free pass to go check it out, Cory and I would be willing to go to Old Country Buffet. Send 3. We'll bring Butch too. And we'll give you a decent review of Old Country Buffet. But meantime, we decided, it's late. Chris is out with her friends eating dinner, so I'll take the girls to dinner. And, of course, they both say, Taco Bell. Okay, girls, Minnesota's upped the penalty for texting and driving, as well they should. Find me a Taco Bell. There's one down the road over by, it was a combined one. It combined with what? Oh, that place that serves fish food. Fishy Joe's. Yeah, Dan, that there. We're going to Fishy Joe's. Where'd that Fishy Joe's? And she realizes her mistake. We rode her for about an hour on that one.
Well, that's good. Now,
got out of the car.
Joe's Crab Shack?
No, she meant Long John Silver.
Oh.
Which apparently was the last one in town. It was combined with a Taco Bell, much like they used to have like Sbarro's and Arby's or Pizza Hut, KFC, because we're owned by the same parent company. Of course, when we got there, it was just a Taco Bell. So naturally, as I'm out of the car, hey, you over there, is Fishy Joe's around here? And we got in there, they ordered their dinner, and I looked, hey, you see that picture there? That's the manager. I bet you she knows where Fishy Joe's is. And then, of course, she realizes Fishy Joe's is from Futurama. So that was kind of a mini geeky.
Isn't there any place else to eat?
We have the meats. So Cory doesn't go there too often.
No.
Never. And that's pretty much all.
I go for the shakes every once in a while.
That's pretty much all I get.
Then I regret it for a day or two.
You get the shakes, man. Those things are so overly saturated with sodium and salt. Ice cream,
and
there's
sugar.
There's a little bit of powder in there. That's pretty much all I'm freaking on, Cory. What are you freaking on? What got you down in the dumps?
For television, this has been a really depressing year, Joe. Uh-oh, Joe, do you hear that?
Nope.
Do you hear that?
I don't.
Sad news, everyone.
Aww.
The Daily Show with Jon Stewart is now over.
John, I hardly knew you. Only 16 years. Doesn't anybody stick with anything these days?
This year, what is it? Mad Men's over. Justified is over. Sons of Anarchy is over. Colbert Report is over. Daily Show with Jon Stewart is over. Letterman's done. Oh, my God. Why even turn on the television?
I think TV's pretty much...
Oh, wait. New Japan's on. Okay. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, you got something to go.
Yeah. But the last episode, it's weird. I've heard mixed reviews. And it's the last episode. They did a really good bit where they had all of the old correspondents on. And as they have the people who've been through the Daily Show, you're looking at that going, my God, that's billions of dollars in television and movie receipts from people who started there and went on to other things. Then at the end, they had Springsteen on to do 2 songs, and well, we all know that I cry at the drop of a hat anyway, and I don't care.
Which is why Cory doesn't wear hats.
I'm like Troy on Community. My emotions! I felt really sad knowing that this huge chunk of not just my life, but this huge chunk of how a lot of us have been able to see the world is ending. It reminds me a lot, I've talked a lot about my internet pal, Bart Kopp, who passed away a little over a year ago. I don't think if it were for Jon Stewart and Bart Kopp, I would have made it through the Bush administration. I would have you would have just had to lock me up in the psych ward. It has changed satire, but also Jon Stewart was one of the last really good television interviewers, because he could have everybody on, whether he agreed with them or not, and it wasn't okay, you've given me your talking points and we're going to hit all your talking points. He would go after you on the left or the right. And it's funny how the people on the right don't see that. They don't see it. But Stewart saw through bullshit. And the last thing he talked about was how we really, as Americans and as people, need to learn to see through bullshit. And he was kind of our helper. He was kind of our Sherpa through bullshit. And Trevor Noah, I've seen some of his stand-up. It's very different. It's a little more gentle. But then again, when Stewart came in, he was not a political comedian. But I think we're going to have a huge gap in our in how we make it through the bullshit that both cable news and politicians are spewing at us, without Jon Stewart to point at it with a floodlight and go, hey, that's bullshit. The other thing I'm kind of freaking on, for the first time since March, I had a full weekend off. And when it got to the end of it, I'd gotten a lot done, but I still woke up Monday morning going, I still need more time off. I'm still tired. I think I really need to kick the job search into higher gear because I need more time off. I say this, of course, as last week there were 2 different times they called me at like 7 at night and went, the overnight person called in sick. Can you come in and do a sleeping overnight? And Joe, on the sleeping overnights, you don't sleep the whole night. You really. I got time off, and I came out of it going, I really need time off. So that's what I'm freaking on. Joe, what are you geeking on? What are you loving? What's got you geemed?
Well, like I talked about, I've had a couple weeks where it was kind of reconnect with all my relatives. About 3 weeks ago, we had one of my cousins, David Anderson. I've talked about time to time. He tours with I don't know if there's, I think 2 members left of the Atlantic Rhythm section. This one happens to be the singer, and he's back singing. So he came to town, brought his kids with him. My other cousin from Alabama came up, the 2 aunts and uncles. So it was kind of a get-together, which was fun. Reconnect with that side of the family, see how everybody's doing. Then the following week was my uncle's 80th birthday. Wow, that's just amazing. He's doing great. See a lot of people you don't normally see. You're always like, oh, your relatives, they're important. I feel myself lucky because I don't really have feuding relatives. There's some of us, when we get on Facebook, we used to have spirited discussions because there's a lot of conservatives, a lot of liberals. And, of course, the aunts would get all upset. Oh, you're arguing with your cousin. Yeah, because he's wrong. But, whatever. It's like, so we just don't do it anymore, because it makes peace in the family. But I got to see that. And then, of course, I just kind of talked a little bit about the itching and the sunburnt from being up in vacation up in Ely. And got to see the cousins there, do a little camping, do a lot of pontooning, getting out on the lake. Didn't do any swimming, though, which was odd for me. Usually I would go swimming because there's nothing beats a nice, cool lake to go swimming in. So it was kind of fun to get up there and to see everybody. Television-wise, I didn't watch nothing because they didn't have TV up there, and I was kind of happy for it. But I'm game that the previews for the Doctor Who Season 9 is coming out. I don't have it, so I'll either be picking it up on, I guess my wife's got an Amazon Prime membership, so I could buy it that way or just wait for the DVDs or wait for it to get on Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, they've got 2 series coming out that I'm gaming about. Danger Mouse, and John Oliver's doing the voice for one of the characters. And they just announced they're doing a Mr. Peabody and Sherman. So I'm real curious to see how they're going to go with this, if it's going to be full animation or maybe the computer animation. Either way, that sounds like it'll be kind of fun. On the eBay buying side, I've been being good. I bought another Fred Hembeck color sketch card of Supergirl. I have a big one of the classic Kara when she first appeared, wearing the regular skirt, not the V-neck one that I like. So he had a card up of that, which I picked up. So now I've got 3 different cards and a comic cover and some other things. Some of it I got to, again, post up online so you guys can see this. I did pick up another one from a gentleman, Zachary Bancroft. Did an original drawing of Supergirl, which was a really nice one. It was like about, I think it was 11 by 14, and it was a graphite drawing, and it's of the Supergirl I like. He had her bare midriff, which is fine. So that was kind of fun. Didn't pay a lot for it, which is always good. And the other thing I did pick up, you probably noticed, Kat, Joe Simon, My Life in Comics. And how I picked it up, I happen to have what they call an eBay buck. If you ever buy on eBay, they give you 1% or something, and then once a month they'll send you something. This is an eBay buck you can spend towards future purchases. So I had the eBay buck from the previous month's purchases when I bought the cell phones for my girls. And I used that to buy down the price on the Joe Simon book. And as I wait for my internet to catch up to me, so I think it was a $29 book or $25 book. I got it down to about $15 and free shipping. So that was pretty cool. That's in my pile to be read. Speaking of other books to be read, I don't know if I've read this one before. Hardcore History, the extremely unauthorized story of ECW by Scott E. Williams.
Oh, I've read that.
Part of me thinks I have read this, but then again, as I'm reading through it, I'm not remembering any of it. So I'm thinking if I did read it, it was a long time ago and I forgot it. Either way, I'm having a fun time reading it, going through it, so that's kind of cool. In the realm of just books to buy, in anticipation of the Cousins up in Ely, I figured I'd pick up a book just to read, which I never did get around to. But I picked up one called How Change and Stupidity Have Changed History. Talking about things like just happenstance, bizarre, unpredictable events that affected the greatest battles in history, such as the sinking of the Bismarck in 1941, 1968, Vietnam, the photo that shook the world's conscience. And if you have seen the photo, you know what we're talking about here. The mistake that made the Berlin Wall come tumbling down. Some of these I didn't know about. Some of these go all the way back to Troy, 1184 BC, the Greeks' deadly gift. So I figured I'm a history guy. I like this stuff. Never read it. The book's a little bit waterlogged because we had the mother of all rainstorms while we were up in Ely. You were talking just one of those where it rained so hard you couldn't see about a half a mile, quarter mile in front of you. And the water crashed the tent, collapsed it. But, it's just a kick-around book. I bought it at a discount anyways in the bargain price section at Barnes & Noble. The other thing I bought was something called Wacky Packages. If you remember what Wacky Packages were, it was 70s, and I think they made a comeback later just as a nostalgia act, where they took everyday products and they made kind of a spoof of it. For example, the Snickers bar was Stickers, chocolate-covered cactus, the desert candy. The Greatest Name in Cactus. And it was a sticker, and you collected them, and they came out in series, and you bought them and traded them and did whatever you could with them. It was a lot of fun. The book also actually comes with a pack of wacky packs. And now the question becomes, do I open the pack and enjoy the stickers and make the book worthless? Well, considering I only paid $5 for it, and it was $20 when it first came out, again, in Barnes & Noble. What the heck? Graphic novel-wise, I finally cut the shrink wrap on Thanos, the Infinity Relativity. As a spoiler warning, I don't know if we have spoiler warning music. Is continued, obviously, because I think Starlin announced it was going to be a trilogy. So if you read Thanos, the Infinity Revelation, which is the first part, this goes right past that. I said that wrong. This is a continuation of that. And then, of course, it will be concluded in Thanos, the Infinity Finale. And I love this. It was great. The art was fantastic, as you would expect from Jim Starlin. Oh, I said that wrong. He wrote it. Andy Smith did the art, penciling and inking. Just a lot of fun. The stories go on. It kind of is very much in the line of cosmic Marvel, if you enjoyed that during the Annihilation stuff. Oh, I don't know, Cory. Do I even want to get into a list of comics I read? Pretty much.
I don't know.
Pretty much everything. I talked at the last time about some of the highlights, but I'll just kind of go quick and make it a what our friend David Watkins used to do. He used to just kind of a one-word thing about the comics he was reading. I'll try that. Groot number 2 got my attention. Didn't like 1. I like 2 a little bit more. Uncanny X-Men 35. Again, we're waiting for the finale, so not much to say there. We talked a bit about Star Trek Green Lantern number 1. I'll see what happened. I like the ending of it. Kind of exciting. Gru, Friends and Foes 7. Loved it. Knights of the Dinner Table 222. Loved it. Justice League Part 2 of the Dark Side Ward. Loved it. Lando number 1, one we haven't covered before. If you like Star Wars, you should be picking up these books. They are a lot of fun. Hawkeye 22. Disappointed it came out. Kaiju Max from our friend Xander Cannon, number 4 came out. I'm enjoying that. I usually don't read books out of sequence, but the Silver Surfer's dealing with what's going on in Secret Wars, as is Magneto and Loki, and these are all like the last days of Silver Surfer. I read those books. I enjoyed them thoroughly. Shield number 8, loved it. All-Star Section 8, just pause the podcast, go out and get issues 1 and 2. That's all you need to do. I'm not usually big on Doctor Who crossovers, but Titan's got a mini-series going on with the 9th Doctor that is actually pretty good. And I've enjoyed it. I'm curious to see where they're going with it. I pick up the photo variants because I like me photo covers. Picked up John Byrne's photoshopped New Visions, 1971, 4860.2. I do really enjoy these books, and I think John's still interested in them. I think he'll keep them going for a while. A little pricey, but I feel like I'm actually watching an episode of Star Trek. To finish off, I'll just kind of give you an idea of what I am reading in terms of the Secret Wars crossovers, because I've been reading a lot of them. Weird World, Secret Wars 2099, Korvac Saga, Where Monsters Dwell. Ooh, awesome. Guardians of Nowhere, Ultimate End, Future Imperfect, and Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. Most of the other ones I will probably wait until I pick them up off of Marvel Unlimited. Or I'll break down and pick them up at the next quarter bin I run into. Because as we all know, Fall Comic Con, the comic book party, is coming up. The One Day Wonder will happen October 10th, 2015, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds Education Building, www.mcba.org. comiccons.com. I know they just had a meeting this past week trying to get all the volunteers and everything going. I naturally was up north, so I didn't get to see much of it. So I'm hoping to hear a report on what happened. But I do know their email is being monitored every day. You may not get questions back as fast as you hoped, but somebody is monitoring it. Remember, it's an all-volunteer event. You'll never find a finer one anywhere in the known universe. So again, check the website out, and if you got any concerns, mcbaquestions@gmail.com. I bet you, Cory, you were curious how I would actually fit that one in.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah, somewhere.
I know you're going to do it.
It's going to happen somewhere. So, that's pretty much it. Cory, what are you geeking on? What's got you excited? Gives you a reason to get up in the morning every day?
Well, nothing gives me a reason to get up in the morning.
Christina Hendrickson pie.
Yeah, but it's not mine. This weekend, here in Minneapolis, we had Auto-Picked, which is almost a comic convention. It's about comics, music, zines, print, art. It was called a 2-day festival of independent culture. It was in a bunch of different places. They had evening events. They had during the day. It was like a comic convention, except it was all very indie, very ground level, almost underground level zines. I didn't have a lot of time. I was only there for about an hour and a half, and I just went to kind of the main exhibit. But they had a number of really interesting books, some better known of the indie creators. I was able to pick up a signed copy of Black Hole by Charles Burns, who was there. Let's see, who else did I buy stuff from? I bought stuff from Laura Park. I'm going to actually look at the exhibitors here. Fantagraphics had a booth.
Oh,
that
cool.
was very, very cool. I'm just going down the list here. Bone Shaker Books was an interesting group. They are an all-volunteer, collectively run bookstore focusing on radical literature. There was a lot of stuff there that they used to carry at Dreamhaven, back when Dreamhaven was a much bigger store, and kept up on sort of the really kind of the alternative press stuff. Now it's more just a science fiction bookstore. But if you remember back when Dreamhaven had all the alt and indie press stuff, Bone Shaker Book had a lot of that. Going through Chris Monroe, who's a cartoonist, a children's book author, artist, and illustrator. He did the Monkey with a Tool Belt series. I liked his stuff. I got to look through his stuff. Bought a couple of books. Coffee House Press, which is almost a ground level book publishing company. They had some fun stuff. Gabrielle Bell was there. Bought some of Gabrielle's stuff. In Absentia Press is a single person publishing, kind of self-publishing and self-uploading comics. The comic Skull Pen issue 1 I picked up. I still haven't read it yet, but it looked very, very interesting. Oh, Paul Fricke was there, our old pal from the comic convention, selling his stuff, doing sketches, having a lot of fun. A lot of graduates of MCAD were there. It wasn't just comics. There were a lot of people who wrote. There was some independent record companies there selling CDs. There was a group called the Minneapolis Instrument Company where they build and design electric guitars. Had a beautiful setup. All of stuff that there's absolutely no way in hell I could ever afford. It was a lot of fun. I wish I would have had more time. I also went over to...
What was the name of that event?
Autopicked. AUTOPTIC.org. I could not tell if they were having another one next year, but if they are, and you're in the Minneapolis area, it's an interesting event, and if they do have it next year, I'm going to go to more of the evening events because they have readings and concerts and things like that.
Okay, so I can add that to my freaking list that I didn't get to go to it, although I was up north.
Yeah. Also, the Minneapolis Institute of Arts had their 100th anniversary birthday party. It rained. So a lot of the outdoor stuff was moved inside. They had bands. You could go through. Well, the museum's always free, but you could go through the museum. They had food trucks. It was kind of a big event. I got a little overwhelmed because, Joe, you know how I do with crowds.
Mm-hmm.
It was crowded. It was crazy crowded. I am going to have to go back because they have a Leonardo da Vinci exhibit that was just too overwhelmingly packed for me to go through. But this is a good year to go to the Minneapolis Institute of Arts, again, if you're in the area. They've really gone all out for the 100th anniversary. It's always an amazing museum to go to. And one of the things that I haven't done for a while, but I did a couple of years ago, you know how it used to be like, the Chicago Art Institute? You'd have the headphones and you'd plug them in at different paintings and exhibits, and you'd hear them talk about that painting or exhibit. You can actually download an MP3 tour through the museum. So you listen to it on your cell phone with headphones, and it will say, oh, if you're interested in going through the classics, here's a walking tour of that, where, okay, now go to this painting, we'll tell you about this painting. Now go here, we'll tell you about this. I need to do it again because I really want to have that for the Da Vinci setup. I talked a little earlier. I did a binge watch of WWE's Tough Enough, and there are parts of it that I like, parts of it I don't. I wish every time they do this, I wish they spent more time on the training, because the training is far more interesting than, okay, now everybody's back in the house being real bitchy with each other. I fast forward through that stuff, but when it's okay, we've taught you how to take a fall, how to bump. We've taught you how to do a hip toss. We've taught you how to come off the rope. Now we're going to have you put them together. All right, now you've learned these things. You two are going to have to work together, put together a sequence that lasts 90 seconds. All of that sort of thing. And the bitchy stuff is good when it's the after show, because it's more an interview segment where the Miz is like, I heard you said this about this person. Why don't you two come up here and we'll discuss this? And they also have an interview with the person who gets kicked out every week. And one of the things I don't like about the show is if you're in the bottom three, it's whoever is the most popular gets to stay, and the person with the fewest votes leaves. Most of the time, the person with the fewest votes is the person who I would want to see in a wrestling ring. I have absolutely no doubt that at least two of the people who've been kicked off the show are going to be offered contracts. And the women all are just terrible in the ring. And it really shows now that they've brought up the women from NXT who are wrestlers and not models. The women who are on Tough Enough are models. And one of the things I find interesting is that both Lita, who's one of the coaches, and the other coaches are telling the women, I wouldn't trust you in the ring. You're not safe. And they really go into detail about how the wrestlers take care of each other, how they keep each other safe. And I hope none of the women make it through. But it's going to be one man and one woman. A couple of the people who've left the show have already shown up on indie events. So I think that's pretty interesting, too. And then comic-wise, I did a binge read. This weekend was the Fantastic Four movie, which we've heard for a year now is a god-awful mess. We've heard it's a gut-wrenching mess.
And I would like to thank social media for those of you who sacrificed yourself going to this movie. I know of several people who I'm going to be paying off in beers for doing so, because now I don't have to. Suddenly, the movie, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, isn't the worst Marvel movie, and more importantly, Howard the Duck is no longer the worst Marvel movie ever.
See, I've heard people say, you know what, it's not terrible. That's the best review I've got.
I'm pretty sure if you went into it thinking, oh my God, this is Fantastic Four, it's like Matthew Broderick's Godzilla. It was not Godzilla, but it was a monster movie.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way, it was fine.
But one of the things about it was I wanted to see some real Fantastic Four stuff. So I read the Matt Fraction, Mark Bagley Fantastic Four, and the Matt Fraction, Mike Allred FF. And I read it when it came out, but I didn't read it, all in one. And I sat and I read it, and Joe, this is probably one of the things that really bugs me is Hickman's Fantastic Four was really, really good, and it didn't sell all that well. Fraction's Fantastic Four is just as good. It plays on the fact that these aren't superheroes. These are explorers. These are scientists. So they're traveling all through the universe. They're going to the end of time. They're going to the earliest part of time that they would be able to exist. They're going back to the time of Caesar. They're meeting a alien civilization that knows of the Fantastic Four. It's back to that Kirby, Lee, we're exploring as a way to, here are all these really cool ideas. And I know that they've said that the Fantastic Four won't be back as a regular comic for a while, because no matter what they do, even when they had Mark Millar and Brian Hitch on the book, it did not sell that well. So they were going to kind of do what they did with Thor. Give it some time off, let the characters be around in the Marvel Universe, and bring it back when there's demand. But there's just something about the Fantastic Four that strikes that chord in me, that this is what Marvel Comics are all about. This is what Kirby brought to comics, and I absolutely loved reading Matt Fraction's run. And since that and Hawkeye were kind of the last things he did at Marvel, I really hope that at some point Marvel puts out an omnibus of his run on the Fantastic Four and FF in the order it's meant to be read in. I would have put this in Freaking, but I can't because it was just so goddamn good. I read I read the last issue of Hawkeye. What a great series. What just a great series. I'm so excited for when the omnibus comes out. That's one that I'll read every few months. Just perfectly done. Set the whole tone for a new style of superhero book in my mind. You had that, you have Mark Waid's Daredevil, you have Cameron Stewart's Batgirl. It reminds me of when we had the whole grim and gritty thing in the 90s and Mark Waid did his Flash run, which was retro, but not really. These books are a new way of doing superhero stories without the angst, without all the tie-in, without all that. It's nope, we're telling stories about human beings who happen to live in this world. And I really enjoy that sort of thing. So those are the things that I'm geeking on. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for almost an hour and a half, maybe even close to 2 hours when this is all edited together.
Edited.
Isn't that weird, Joe? We don't have anybody on and we still can go forever.
Yeah.
And as we say every week, kids, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
Today's daily quote: I think women are foolish to pretend they are equal to men. They are far superior and always have been. William Golding. Cory, hit my music.